And we're coming to you live to the Bill Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And where we are in the free Odyssey app. Good Wednesday morning. We knew things would start happening at the winter meetings yesterday when we did our show in the morning. And then obviously everything broke after we got off the air at 10 a.m., which is generally the way things work. And you see Edwin Díaz go to the Dodgers. You see Kyle Schwarber re-sign with the Phillies. And the reaction to Edwin Díaz from Mets fans was like they traded Tom Seaver again. Now, I understand why you may be upset, but the level of upset to me was I couldn't understand it. And by the way, if you're really angry at somebody, Edwin Díaz did not want to be a New York Met any longer. He wanted to go to L.A., and if you just want Steve Cohen and David Stearns to pay everybody over market value and just blow up the payroll because they don't want to lose anybody, then okay, fine, if that's your argument. But that's not going to happen. So they need to rebound. They need to do some things to get the fan base back. And if they lose Pete Alonso after what I saw yesterday, there's going to be people canceling season ticket plans left and right. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. So, I would think the biggest winner out of all of this is going to be Pete Alonso. So look for a 6-year, $180 million contract coming down the pipe pretty soon, especially with what Kyle Schwarber.
6 year, huh?
You watch. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a mammoth one, and the Mets are going to have to pay it. First
what makes
of all,
you say that?
It's the reaction, and David Stearns ran a small market team. He was a Met fan growing up. He came back here. You are now in the deep end, my friend. And if you are not going to be aggressive and going to get your guys, then the Dodgers are just going to buy everybody. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why there's going to be a lockout, because 3/4 of the league are looking at the Dodgers going, "What the hell are you guys doing? You're killing us. We can't keep up. There's just no way." It's actually a joke. Now, we all know that you have to stay healthy, just like the Dodgers did. There were many opportunities for the Blue Jays to beat them in the World Series. They didn't do it. This doesn't guarantee anything, but what it does do, it raises the stakes for everybody in Major League Baseball. And for all those small market owners out there, the Cincinnati Reds, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Tampa Bay Rays, they might as well just fold up shop because they don't have a chance. And, when you are swimming in the deep end like David Stearns is, like Brian Cashman is, you got to be creative. Now, this is one of the reasons why they opted really quickly to go get Devin Williams. Now we know the answer why. Because if you think that these general managers and these agents don't know what is potentially out there for each of these players, then you're crazy. You're out of your minds. They all know what the numbers are going to be. They all know pretty much exactly what these agents are looking for. I mean, this is no surprise to David Stearns that this happened. There's no surprise
I
here.
agree with that. I just want to know why you are confident, because all the reporting, whether you believe it or not, is that David Stearns will not come off of 3 years.
Well, then he's going to go somewhere. Pete Alonso is going to go somewhere else, and they'll have to pivot somewhere. I'm just telling you, he's going to end up getting a big contract. I believe he's going to get a big contract. Now, I would think that the Mets would do it because I think, obviously, you feel the blowback. We all feel the blowback. I felt it when I found it yesterday. I was shooting a commercial yesterday all day.
Oh, nice.
And was
it for the Sabra hummus again?
No, it's for Ethos Life Insurance.
Oh, Ethos. I hear Ethos on the radio station
Big Buy
as well.
and Odyssey and everything else. Yeah, so you'll see me talking about life insurance like I have done before here. But anyway,
cool.
So when I got out of that commercial yesterday, that's when all of a sudden all this news was coming at me. I had no idea what was going on in the afternoon, and I was flabbergasted. I mean, $69 million for 3 years. Now, again, you have to remember that the Dodgers. What do I always tell you? What are they?
Well, they're a consortium of billionaires.
They are, and they're Guggenheim, asset management, who has Guggenheim baseball management too. There's like two separate companies, but they're really owned by one, and is worth almost $400 billion. They have $400 billion in assets. So, they just have a bottomless pit to pay these players.
So you were flabbergasted by the number on the contract? Because the Mets were right there. They were.
I know, but this is why they're going. The lockout is not because of anything the players are doing. The lockout is going to be because the lower end owners can't afford to continue to play in this this financial sphere. And I think if I were one of those owners, I'd be like, if you're a Reds fan this morning, you think you had a chance for Kyle Schwarber. Now, the Reds, I think, did with Kyle Schwarber what the Yankees did with Juan Soto last year. They offered almost $150 million, but it was $125 million. They thought maybe hometown discount because he's from Middletown, Ohio, which is just north of Cincinnati, and he grew up going to the Great American Ballpark there where the Reds play, and then he visited Great American Ballpark around Thanksgiving when he was home. I mean, so they had all their hopes up high that Kyle Schwarber may have become a Red. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to the money and these players believing that they have a chance to win a World Series. And that's why I think Edwin Díaz left here, because he knows that he has a very legitimate chance of winning a World Series with the Dodgers as opposed to with the Mets. And I don't blame him at all. I don't blame him. You could scream and yell that he, didn't want to be here and all this other crap.
He didn't. But
at the end of the day, it's the Dodgers, and they're giving him $23 million.
It's the most a reliever has ever gotten. Yeah.
Ever.
So, but the reason why the point is made or should be made that Edwin Díaz didn't want to be here is the fact that the Met fans are just roasting Steve Cohen and David Stearns for not ponying up when I don't even know if they had ponied up. They would have had to God. So that's a record for a reliever. The Mets would have had to go even further than that, and probably more so because he wanted to be in L.A. to go and sign him. So is that what Met fans want?
But on top of all of that, they've already signed a legitimate closer for 3 years and $16 million a year.
Right.
So they would have had what, $39 million a year in two quasi closers that pitch 66 innings. And I know how valuable these pitchers are to the team in order to winning, but this is why the Mets signed Devin Williams. I don't know when they stopped negotiating with Edwin Díaz. Maybe they stopped at, $22 million or $21 million.
Well, it was 3 years. It was reported.
66.
So it was 66 total. When they told his agent that it was there was wiggle room to go up, and they never went back to him, and that was that. But I just like the whole.
The other thing you got to realize, and we have not seen this yet. We have not seen yet. I do not know. There are a lot of tax implications here that I'm telling you, the Dodgers have figured out how to kind of avoid income taxes for these players. Now, I want to see how the contract's written first and foremost.
Yeah.
And remember, again, this is very complicated for a lot of people out there. Edwin Díaz is not signing with another team losing money anywhere. There are ways to avoid paying taxes. These wealthy people at this level have these tax lawyers that they end up spending money on that end up figuring out how to manipulate these contracts, stay away from paying this big, the big amount of money when it comes to income taxes. Now, Edwin Díaz is a Puerto Rican, and they have a different tax structure in Puerto Rico, even though they're part of the United States. I can't wait to see how this contract is drawn up, and I don't know if the Mets were willing to do what maybe the Dodgers have done in that regard. So I don't know the answer to that question just yet. We'll find it out in the next probably few days how the contract is written. Because remember, Shohei Ohtani, we talked about that deferred money.
Sure.
All of that money deferred, all of that stuff is to limit the amount of personal income tax he's paying in the state of California.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you feel the same way that I do about roster construction, but we spend so much time talking about bullpens and closers and starting pitchers and all this stuff when it's really, when it comes down to it, the guys that play every single day. Building that roster, the guys who play every single day, the everyday position players, and that's where this money needs to get invested to. I will pay a guy that's going to play 150 games every single year and produce before I pay the guy that appears in 66 games for an inning.
If you are the Dodgers and you're well worth over,
they're going to do whatever.
Well, the Guggenheim partners are well worth over $400 billion, if not more, and they have other sports assets in there, and they have like Billie Jean King's a part of it, Magic Johnson's a part of it, Todd Bowley's a part of it. They have so much money that it's insane what they're able to do, and good for them and good for the players that they pay. I don't care. I mean, this is capitalism.
No, I'm not even talking about them now.
But what I'm saying to you is I understand now the Mets have got to turn, their attention to what they're going to be putting on the field. And David Stearns came out yesterday and basically said, I feel really of course he's going to say this now. Of course he's going to say this. I feel really confident with Devin Williams as our closer. He said that. Why? Because I was with him in Milwaukee. I saw it, and they paid him a lot of money. Remember when that contract came out? We were like, holy God, man, that means he's either the closer or he's going to be the setup man for that amount of money?
Well, he might have been if Edwin Díaz wasn't hell-bent on going to the Dodgers. They were about to invest that money in him. $3 million less than what the Dodgers gave him.
So they say. And
no, I believe that they were.
I want to see how the contract's constructed before, I start screaming and yelling about whether or not he wanted to be here or he didn't want to be here. And by the way, playing out there in L.A.,
it's better
with
than here.
Shohei Ohtani and everything else.
Better.
It much better.
Yeah,
the lifestyle, the baseball,
the
park,
weather.
I'm assuming that the Dodger fan is as pressurized maybe as the Met fan is, but the Met fan can be very, very loud and very, very. And we loved Edwin Díaz. Let's face it. After that first year, then he blows his knee out in the World Baseball Classic. Then the Timmy Trumpets thing comes. I forgot he's been here for 7 years.
Yeah, no.
7 years.
And by the way, he's not a spring chicken any longer. And I would not be surprised if you see his production go down in these next couple of years as well. It's not a guarantee that this guy is going to stay at that level. So it's frustrating from the sense that I think Met fans never thought they'd have to deal with things like this. Any guy, like when Steve Cohen became the owner, it was like any guy that's on our team that we want, we're going to keep.
Yeah, okay.
And that's just not the way that it works, especially when you got this behemoth out in L.A. And another thing that I heard yesterday with criticism was people say, well, Steve Cohen cares more about this casino than he does the baseball team. Well, he doesn't. It's all one thing, by the way.
Just like the consortium out there for the Dodgers. It's the same thing. It's all one ginormous
thing.
Play. It's one, and the better the Mets do, the better that whole other stuff is going to do.
And by
the
way, the better that the casino does, the more money that he will have to be able to maybe go an extra mile for a player. I mean, he said before, I can't keep dipping into my own bank account to pay for players because I'll lose money on the Mets. Well, guess what's going to happen with this casino? He ain't going to be losing any money anymore.
Well, it's not just that. It's just the entire development of the whole thing around there. The casino's a big part of it. A hotel's a big part of it. There'll be apartments over there. There'll be affordable apartments over there, according to the mayor's office, and all depending on what your idea of affordable is. But the whole thing is just leading right to a lockout. The whole thing. And the players, I think they all feel like there's going to be a lockout. So they want as much money as they can possibly get right now. Because when they shut it down next year, it's going to be, they're going to go to the union and they're going to start negotiating hardcore numbers and ideas with the union. And, these players that are making this kind of money, you think they want to sit out? You think they want to be locked down?
No, they don't, but they've always, like the salary cap with the Major League Baseball Players Association is the words that cannot be spoken. They are so proud of the fact that, because they're the strongest union in sports, in pro sports,
you don't
no
have to
doubt.
tell me about that.
Right. I mean, so, like, there's, so they are so proud of the fact that they've been able to ward off a salary cap for all these years that they are not going to go down easy with it.
I'm not saying that they're going to agree to a salary cap, but the one thing, if you actually try to instill or install a salary cap, you are going to have to also install a floor, a medium. Like, right. And we see that in the NFL, we see that in the NBA, we see that in the NHL, and I'm not saying that they should agree to it. There's going to have to be some sort of different way of doing business because that's why the lockout's coming. The lockouts are guys like Steve Cohen and the Guggenheim partners led by Mark Walter, they don't want to lock out. They want to continue to play. It's the other owners, majority of the other owners that are going to want to lock out this thing, and they're going to want to redo the CBA with the players, and that's going to be one hell of a fight, man.
There are going to be some owners, though, like the one guy I think about is Bob Nutting in Pittsburgh, who, if there is a salary cap and a salary floor, he's going to sell the team
because the way that baseball is set up now, it's the greatest thing in the world for him. He doesn't have to compete, and he takes all the revenue-sharing money and he sticks it in his pocket. If he's going to have to be forced to spend more money, then he's going to end up selling a team. So there are some owners that will welcome it with open arms and say, I can compete better, and these other teams are not going to be able to push me around any longer. But there'll be other owners that will be like, well, I don't know, man. This is pretty good the way things are going with this competitive balance tax that gets paid to me, and I don't even need to put a good team out here to make money.
I know. I mean, and his reputation is basically that of a cheapskate in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and nobody, but he doesn't care.
I know, but what I'm saying is all the Pittsburgh, fans, Pirate fans, can't stand the guy.
Right.
So, God forbid he can even go to a game and watch his own team play, because I'm sure he's getting booed and yelled at and screamed at and everything else.
And laughing at the bank.
But the point being is that they have like the Dodgers signing, Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto, they have now a secondary market that is Japan. And you think about how much money they're making, I'm sure, off of the backs of those two players, and how much money Japan is probably paying the Dodgers to be able to show those games. Now, I mean, like some of this stuff is mind-boggling. And again, I'm happy for the players. Hey, make as much as you can, play where you want to play. And I'm sure that Edwin Díaz was sitting there going, man, the Dodgers are going to give me like $23 million a year, and they're going to write a contract a certain way that I can save even more money. You know what? I want to go play for the Dodgers because I want to go win a World Series. I'm telling you, I don't begrudge him at all. I really don't. And I understand that why the Mets signed Devin Williams. When he signed him, we said this is either a fallback position or it's going to be a major end of bullpen that we have never seen before.
Yeah, and by the way, there is a chance. It is crazy to say to all the Met fans that are crying yesterday and today. There is a chance that Devin Williams could be better than Edwin Díaz last year.
You never know.
Next year. It could be. Like, that could actually happen because these guys are so volatile, by the way, from year to year.
I just, before everybody starts losing their mind over all of this, we have to see what the team looks like when we finally get to spring training. So now these next 4 or 5 days are going to be instrumental in walking people off the ledges, you know what I mean? Because this is now where David Stearns better get involved, Steve Cohen better get involved, or there's going to be so much kickback. All right, so you lost this player. What are you replacing him with? Well, Devin Williams will be the first thing. And now what are you doing about first base, Pete Alonso? What are you doing about left field? What are you doing about center field? I mean, like they're drastically changing this team. I mean, the Simeon ad is a drastic change. And it was to enhance run prevention, which we've heard so much about, but it's also to change the locker room culture, too, it sounds like to me. Sounds like to me there's a lot of weird things going on here again.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what was happening and what the reporting was. And also, I mean, this team failed at a massive level last year, and people want to blame the general manager for that more than the players, but which I know that he's in the crosshairs and everybody's afraid that he's just working as a small market GM in a big market. But let's see what he does the rest of this offseason.
That small market GM spent the second most amount of money last year.
Well, it's exactly what I said. I was talking to Al before the show. I'm like, did people forget? That was 1 year ago in like 2 days. And everybody say, oh, Steve Cohen, this guy was sold a bill of goods and this and that.
$765 million to one effing player.
How soon we forget that happened last year. All right, plenty to get to. Jerry joins us in just a couple of minutes. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.